So, Adam, when you think of Dr. J, what is the first thing you think of when you think of this spectacular player from the 70s and 80s?
I think of 70s cool. I just think of like
Mm.
Fro, the style, the suits, the just how smooth he was, coming in and out of games. It's like this is a guy who was made for the kind of like Instagram, like, tunnel walk era, like 50 years earlier. Yeah, he's just like the personification of cool. His game was so smooth, a crazy athlete. Like I think it's just some of the highlights we've watched, obviously in the last few days and games we've watched covering him, for this podcast is just like he's just a spectacular player. Totally made sense. He was the most popular player of the era, was the face of an entire league. And a league that was better, I think, than people realize, and he was, pretty clearly the best player. Yeah, just 70s cool, I think, is the first thing I think of.
That's a great way to put it. And honestly, I would think, you're right. He was the face of two leagues during his time, I feel like. I think there's like the 2 or 3 year stretch before Bird and Magic that he's like the face of like the NBA, even though he only makes one finals with the Sixers before the turn of the decade. And then they kind of do a few runs there in the early 80s. But it always felt like his fingerprints were on touch of on professional basketball for like a decade there. And I think that's such a great way to put it. I think for the first thing for me is like that's the first like afro I've ever seen in my life was Dr. J. And like just videos of him like every cool dunk that he does, and we see a few of them in the 2 games we watched for him later that we'll talk about. But like there's just moments where you're like, man, you brought up 70s cool, but it's like 70s smooth. It's like 70s, like everything felt premeditated and also like jazz like. It felt also like this looks like it was supposed to happen like this, but it was just made up on the spot. And it's pretty spectacular just to see a guy make sweet music just right on a basketball court. And he didn't have like a beautiful jump shot until later, and everything was pure athleticism early on, as well as just like pure determination.
Yeah,
And so
and creativity, right? It's like he was so
absolutely.
creative. Yes.
So I think this is such a fun guy to do number 2 as we follow up Kobe Bryant after episode 1, and so doing Dr. J number 2 to me is like we're shifting back a little bit, but again, it's another face, a guy who was the face of the NBA there for a portion.
Yeah, another guy. We mentioned this when we talked about Kobe. Like, you can't tell the story of pro basketball in America without talking about Kobe Bryant. You can't do that without Julius Erving. I mean, you just can't. I mean, he just was, again, the face of the ABA. A league that ran for 9 years and totally challenged the status quo and completely changed basketball. And is much more important than I think people totally realize. It's where we got 4 of the current NBA teams was from the ABA, including the one that he was a star for, right? The New York Nets.
Right.
So a massive figure in the league's history, and we started off with two bangers here in Kobe and Dr. J, but also like I actually think when you put the thing in totality, like his entire career, and you add the ABA to it, which we do for our list, we are counting ABA statistics. This is a top 20 player. Like I just think like, I mean, I don't think people totally think about him in those like regards or like really grasp how crazy that is, but not just was he popular and fun to watch and cool, he actually is probably just a top 20 player in the league's history. So yeah, pretty awesome. I can't wait to dig even further into his career.
Well, let's dig into this real quick, Adam, because you want to talk about where we have him tiered. He's in the same tier as the guy we just did in Kobe Bryant. He's still in that Galaxy Opal 11 to 18 tier with, like I said, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, Moses Malone, his teammate. And yeah, so just a myriad of like these top 20 certified guys, but not cracking the top 10. But like you said, these are some of those guys where you can't tell the story of professional basketball without them. And so I say professional basketball, like you said, ABA importance in his NBA. I mean, because he had, again, we don't want to be a Wikipedia page. We don't want to be reading off just his like basketball reference to you, but like the fact that he won an MVP in both leagues, 3 in the ABA, 1 in the NBA later on. I think you just hear that and you're like, he was the best player in both leagues at one point. And so I think that's just the certification that you can have with it. Let's tell the story, though, of Dr. J. And Adam, I think we'll do the games here for him, but I think he is a part of one of the teams in the entire 80s that makes the finals. It's my favorite stat is that there's only 5 teams that make the finals in the 80s, and the Sixers are one of them. They lose a few and win one. And it's one of those things you're like, he was a part of title contenders throughout his entire career in the NBA too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his first year in the NBA, coming over from the ABA, which we'll get to why he actually went to the Sixers and not some other teams, but they go to the finals. I mean, it's like he just immediately jumps. He goes from winning the title in '76 in the ABA in a crazy series against the Denver Nuggets to in the finals the very next year with a totally different team, and a team who just a few years earlier the Sixers had the worst record in the history of basketball.
Right.
So it's like this guy was like a total game changer for the league, and I think the reason we count very quickly ABA stats is because I think especially the last like 5 or 6 years of the ABA, it was the talent level, especially the high end talent, was very similar to the NBA.
Yeah,
the level of depth maybe wasn't as good. And the first maybe 3 or 4 years of the ABA was a little bit weaker. But the more we kind of studied it and you look at like a lot of the exhibition games that the teams played at the time, it was about 50-50 in terms of who would win. And you look at maybe like the 75 Kentucky Colonels versus some of the title teams of the 70s. And it's like, the talent is like right on the same level. Like it really is a very similar, the high-end talent is right there in the ABA.
Well, I would say let's just do the comparison of the 75 Colonels against the 75 Warriors. I think that's a fun matchup. I think you got Gilmore on one end and then Rick Barry on the other. I think you have two of the biggest names in basketball. One of them in our top 50. Gilmore's not in our top 50.
No, he's not. But it's a guy we considered.
Absolutely. And I think that's that's a great point to bring up, because he's the fact that he's playing in the finals in 76, comes to the Sixers in 77, plays in the finals for them, has a 3-year break or 2-year break because they go back to the finals in 80. And it's one of those things you're like, you never didn't hear Dr. J's name if you were just talking basketball over it. But what was it, a 14-year stretch or 16-year stretch at that point for his entire career? He was just one of the ambassadors of the sport. But like you said, I think the NBA, the ABA teams joining the NBA, I think he's a big proponent of that because of the talent level that he was bringing to the NBA itself.
He is the big reason why the NBA wanted those 4 teams. It's like, okay, no, there's too much talent there. We need to grab, this guy needs to be in our league. Like he is an absolute attraction, the one that we can kind of sell. And this is obviously a time in the NBA where it's just not a popular league. I mean, it's nowhere near the level of football and baseball at the time, or even boxing. It is just way behind in terms of the American sports landscape. And so they needed draws. The ABA brought, the 3-point line eventually to the NBA. And that's something they had the entire time, right? Like a run and gun style, which is what we see now. We watched obviously an ABA game for this. We'll talk about in a second. And the style of play is very similar to what we're watching today, 50 years later. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, why he even played in the ABA in the first place is because he wanted to come out of college early, and the ABA didn't allow that at the time, but the ABA did. So he signs with the Virginia Squires. He plays 2 years with them out of UMass, where he had played in college. So he's a New York guy, born in New York City, raised in New York City, goes to UMass, and then eventually goes to the ABA, the Virginia Squires, plays there for 2 years. He actually does get drafted in the NBA draft in 1972 by the Milwaukee Bucks, but obviously he's on the Squires at the time. There's a whole legal thing with that. The Hawks try to sign him. He plays a couple of exhibition games with the Hawks, with Pete Maravich, but then that ends up getting, voided. And they said, if you're going to play in the NBA, it's got to be for the Bucks. They have your draft rights. Just this whole mess in terms of where he's going to go. And then the Virginia Squires are facing, total financial straits. They sell him essentially to the New York Nets, and he plays the last 3 years of the ABA from 73 to 76 with the New York Mets, where he wins 3 straight MVPs and is scoring 30 a game, and then wins 2 titles with them in 74 and 76. So just a crazy run in the ABA, obviously, for him in those last 5 years. He's by far the best player in the ABA's history. And then he comes over and joins the Sixers, and that was even a tricky one because he could have just stayed with the Nets, but the Knicks were basically suing the Nets for a territorial. They basically were like, yeah, you're coming into our league, you're coming into our territory, you need to pay us some money. And I think it was $4.8 million, and they said they're not going to do that. And so they offered Julius Erving as that $4.8 million, and the Knicks turned it down. The Knicks crazy. It's just a stupidity, the absolute stupidity of that. You could have this huge draw immediately, just essentially for free. Essentially, you're just getting him for nothing, other than these draft. There are these territorial rights that you want. They turn it down, and the Sixers say, "Well, shoot, we'll pay that." So they do, and the Nets take it. And there's a lot of people in the Nets organization who said, this will ruin professional basketball. The New York Nets. And the Nets franchise really has not like ever been the same. Like they've never been on that level. Obviously, they go to the 2 finals with Jason Kidd, but it's never even come close to competing with like the Knicks in that area. And so it's like the Knicks do this thing that like crushes their opponent, but they don't even really get the reward of it because they could have had the player and they don't do it. It's just like baffling. And then he goes to the Sixers and transforms the entire franchise. So just kind of a crazy start to his career.
It is. I mean, it's filled with tumultuous moments of just trying to finagle around who owns him. And it's just one of those things that it's owning him is just such a bad way to put it too. But but it in that sense though, it's like, hey, you belong to us. Your rights, your draft rights, your whatever, we're selling you to have to pay a fine to the Knicks. And so it is just like a lot of things, and yet all he wanted to do was play basketball, and no matter where he went, he was just dominant. And it didn't matter. And I think the shift from Virginia to New York, holy culture shock. Yeah, although, like you said, he's from New York, so it didn't really matter to him, but it's just like a culture shift in that sense. And then the fact that like a lot of his time is in the Northeast, whether it be UMass, whether it be New York, whether it be Philly, I mean, I kind of love it. I think he just sticks around, and it's been you as NBA casual fans, you're like, you remember a lot of the Sixers time. That's like the thing that sticks in your head. And you also probably Mandela effect put him like that's when he's actually in a Nets jersey. Like they're similar colors. The New York Nets were very similar colors to the Sixers. So you're like you probably mix some of those times together. And so I especially did that like early on in my NBA fandom, and then I learned. And so it's just one of those things. It's like you associate him in those red, white, and blue colors his entire career. And I think you see those colors, you think of Dr. J, you think of the dominance that he had, especially during his period of time.
And consistently dunking a red, white, and blue ball in the NBA too, right? So it's like, it's just red, white, and blue all over for Dr. J. Yeah. And he also, he wanted number 32 when he went to the Sixers, but it was going to be retired by Billy Cunningham, who was about to become the Sixers coach. And so he took 6. Do you know why he chose 6?
I don't.
Because Bill Russell was his favorite player growing up. So to honor Bill Russell.
Surely. Why not?
Good example.
I love it.
Yeah, pretty good example. Yeah,
I love it. I thought it was just gonna be 3 times 2, but that works also.
that's maybe that was a piece of it as well.
Also has the best nickname, like one of the better nicknames we have in the NBA. Julius Erving, Dr. J, the Doctor.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, going back and watching these games, it's great to hear just everyone call him the Doctor. They don't even go. It's not even like Julius. It's not Erving. Yeah. It's only the Doctor, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and he was called that because he operated on opponents. It's like we like don't do nicknames like that anymore. Like that's like something that's really lost to time. Is like, oh, that guy, like he operates on the opponents. We're gonna call him Dr. J. It's like that's just so cool. That's just like such an awesome nickname. When you're right, it's like Doctor. It's like constantly just referencing like that. It just became him. That's so cool. I love when that happens organically.
I do too. Okay, there's 5 games that we do for each of these players, Adam, and I think we talked about it. This is just a special five games that we do for him because it's a crossover between ABA and NBA. And we watched one from the ABA, watched one from the NBA that we'll break down in a minute. But I think this is one of the better. I mean, again, we have 50 of these we got to do over the next 2 summers, but this is just a fun collection of 5 games that we have for a player.
It is.
And a player who has 3 titles. And yet, I think we chose the 2 of the games we watched or 2 of the titles and years he won. But it's just like the amount of times he went to the finals or like title game and lost. I mean, it's pretty still impressive how much he was just around in late in the season, no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, I mean, he drove winning. It just drove winning, just like instantly wherever he went. Unlike some of the more modern guys, like obviously Kobe Bryant, there was like just like loads of full games to choose from. So our list, we try to just pick the 5 that we want, that we actually think is. Like represent the player. And then obviously the 2 we choose sometimes comes down to, is there a video available? And there was for a couple of these games, thankfully. But the first game we have on this list is the 74-75 regular season, ABA regular season. This game was played on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1975. New York Nets at San Diego Conquistadors, one of those just classic ABA names. Game goes to 4 overtimes, and the Nets lose 176 to 166. Despite, Julius Erving's completely ridiculous stat line of 63 points, 25 of 51 shooting, 23 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 10 turnovers.
Oh my gosh.
An incredible game.
Well, with
Yeah,
that many turnovers, you're gonna have. I mean, with that many overtimes, you're gonna have that.
You're
many
gonna have turnovers. Yes, he has the ball constantly, and yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's a career high for him. So 63 points. That's part of the reason he chose it, and it's just like that represents the ABA so perfectly, right? 176 to 166, just a straight shootout, and Dr. J getting his career high in that game. The second game is the 1976 Finals, ABA Finals, Game 1. That's one of the ones we're doing in full, so we'll talk about that in a second. Nets at Nuggets there. And then 1977 NBA Finals, Game 6, Philadelphia 76ers at Portland Trailblazers. Sixers fall just short of the title in Erving's first full NBA season to Portland, despite being up 2-0 in that series. So obviously pretty devastating loss there for Philly. Excellent series from Dr. J. He played really well. He has a nasty dunk on Bill Walton in this series. Just like an all-time finals moment. But they do lose 4 straight games and drop that series, and that was obviously a huge chance to win the title, and they couldn't quite do it. 80-81 regular season. This is the best game from Dr. J's MVP season in 81. His lone NBA MVP. Scores 39 points on 13 of 18 shooting, 13 of 14 from the line, 6 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. His most complete performance of that season. This is something that I think there's a trend, even in the games we watched. He was so good in passing lanes when he was like older, and then when he was younger, he was like a rim protector. Like in some of those early games, like he's around the rim constantly. And this is a game where he was obviously still able to do that. And then the last one, 1983 Finals, Game 4. Doc finally gets his ring. Philadelphia 76ers at Los Angeles Lakers. That's the second game we're watching in full, so we'll talk about that more in a second.
Chose 2 San Diego games and in 2 different leagues. So thanks for doing that to the city of San Diego.
Yeah.
Real quick, you brought it up though. It's like he does not get enough shine for what he did on defense. He's a very, I mean, listen, the athleticism is there for his offensive ability to create shots for himself or create chances at the rim. But man, his defense is also stellar. He is not he passes the Quinn Cook test.
Yes.
I think honestly a lot of, I'm gonna have to like keep track of which of the top 50 wouldn't pass that test.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are probably gonna be fine there. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna just say an over under is at 42.5, and I think I'll still take the over. On guys passing that test. But let's dig into Game 1, which is the 1976 ABA Finals, Game 1, and it is, like you said, it's the finals of the ABA, and it is. Listen, I will stand here and say it to the mountaintops. The Nuggets are such a fun team to watch, no matter what decade it is. Because of the 70s, it's Thompson, the 80s, it's English, and Issel is just like fluctuating all throughout it. Not a great Issel game, but it is. And then like you get to the 2000s, Melo, and then we've got Jokic now. The Nuggets will consistently have one guy in the decade where you're like, this guy's fun to watch. This is when I would love to have League Pass in the 70s. You're like, hey, I'll watch David Thompson just roll out the ball and let him go get buckets. And him versus Dr. J in this game is just special throughout it all. But why don't you tell us how we got here to this first game, Adam, in 76?
Yeah, I mean, these are the 2 best teams in the ABA this final year of the ABA, and these are probably the 2 best players. So, yeah, the Nuggets were 16-24. They were the number 1 seed in the ABA. There were no conferences in the last year. Obviously, they had dropped to just a few teams left. So, I think they finished the season with like 9 teams. If I remember correctly, I should have looked at that. But the Nets went 55-29, the number 2 seed in the ABA playoffs that year. Julius Erving was the ABA MVP for the 3rd straight season in 76, cementing his legacy as the best player in the league's history. He played all 84 games. The ABA, they played 84 games. They played all 84 games in 76 while leading the league in both points and steals per game. The Nets had beaten the Spurs in 7 in the ABA semis, while the Nuggets had beaten the Kentucky Colonels in 7 on the other side of the bracket, setting up this finals and this Game 1. The backdrop is this obviously being, it was all but confirmed at this point that 4 teams were going to go to or there were going to be some teams going to the ABA, the NBA, and this was the last finals of the ABA. So that was kind of, I think it was kind of known as this series was happening. And this is not a totally full game on YouTube. I believe it's like second quarter on. Yeah, somewhere in the second quarter on.
I think it's like halfway through the second quarter and on.
Okay, yeah. And it's still really fun to watch, but yeah, it's like there's just so few ABA video available. So it's like we had to just take what we can get. And I'm really glad we ended up choosing this one because it's a very fun second half. So yeah, obviously I'll throw it to you first. Like, so what was the sequence of the game that sums up Dr. J the most?
Is it not the last 6 minutes, the last 5 minutes of this game? Honestly,
takes over. Yeah,
the cradle dunk is the thing. After that, it's like, okay, we're off, and that's the emulation of him. Like early on, like we talk about the athleticism, just every dunk, and it's the dunking of the red, white, blue ball, and that's the moment that you think of. It's like these kind of plays like this, his creativity throughout it all, and then it's the from there, it's also just him being able to hit the shot at the end of the game to close it out. It's the runner, and I think he just after the tip in, you're like, holy crap, are they gonna get it to go? And then Dr. J just doing what he does best and creating in the open floor.
Yeah, and the amount of times, like we talked about earlier, but this younger version of him, he's just around the rim constantly. Like it's the older version, it's a lot of stuff at the elbow and mid-range stuff, and it's like this version, it's like he's just by the rim on both ends of the floor constantly. And there's multiple possessions where he goes up with a pretty spectacular kind of scoop shot and like misses it, but he's so athletic. He's the first guy off the floor, gets his offensive rebound, tips it in. Like just no one can hang with him athletically. Like he is just like on another level. And he's also bigger, I think, than people realize. He's 6'7", and at the time, that's a big wing. 1975, and just strong as hell. Like just a totally complete player. But just like lived in the paints during this time of his career. But the end of the game. That's what I had. So you have that kind of like the start of the takeover. But so it's the Webster putback dunk with 4 seconds left. Marvin Webster, who was really fun to watch in this game, tied it for Denver. Timeout New York. They advanced the ball. Taylor gets it into to Erving. He takes 2 dribbles towards the baseline, almost like that kind of Kawhi-esque, like just 2 hard dribbles towards the baseline, and then fade away, drains it at the buzzer. That's win. Just an awesome game. 120-118, an absolute thriller in game 1. This is one of those plays that, like, if it happened in the NBA Finals, where they like do all the like highlights at the end of the final, it would be in that mix, right? Like it would be in that montage of like great finals moments. Yeah, it's just an awesome play.
You're absolutely right. It would fit into the montage so well. And it encapsulates just the full game he had, which was 45, 12, and 4, and with 1 and 1, with 1 steal, 1 block. Again, the guy is just everywhere in this game. And the last play just shows that. It's like, hey, I'm going to be the guy who takes the last shot no matter what. And I brought it up earlier. His jump shot's nothing like crazy special at this point, but I still didn't feel like it wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be a miss. I thought it was going to go in no matter what. Just because that's the impact he has on the game.
Well, he scores 45 points, shooting 68%. Like, he's just It's like a crazy efficient game. Like, just that's the thing too. Is like he was like much more efficient, I think, than people realize too, because he was so good around the rim. He just this is like a dominant performance. Like this would be like an all-time like great. I think people just don't quite understand how good he was. Like you said, 45 points, 17 and 25 shooting, 11 of 11 from the line, 12 boards, 4 assists, just crazy. Like kind of an iconic playoff performance. It's probably his best overall playoff game of his career.
And getting his future teammate to foul out, Bobby Jones, honestly, which is fun to do the little crossover there too.
Yes, it was.
I think the best part of this game too, though, and you're right, Marvin Webster's a blast in this entirety of the game. But it is the duo between him and Thompson. It's the duel that they have a lot of that second half. And Thompson, man, again, another forgotten score. My favorite stat pre-Devin Booker scoring or pre-Donovan Mitchell scoring 70 was the fact that David Thompson was the shortest guy to score 70 at 6'3" or 6'4", whatever it is. And I think Donovan Mitchell beat him out for that now, for the shortest man to do it. So Thompson is just a bucket getter, and to get 9 boards at his size too is also special. But I think those are the matchups that like Dr. J like lived for. Whereas it like Kobe, he's like, I want the big game, I want the guy, I want to be competing against the best.
And obviously had that huge putback dunk at one point too. That they all kind of that's where he gets the Skywalker nickname from plays like that. So I thought he was great to watch too. Okay, and then the other one, obviously people who have maybe if you didn't listen to Kobe one. We'll just have a couple categories for the first game, and then there's more that kind of tie them together in the last one. So the Marv Albert non-basketball moment of this game, what did you have for that?
So honestly, it's the cutaways to a lot of like the fan crowd, but honestly, the announcers were pretty solid in this first game.
They were.
And like, I get hesitant because we've had some really bad 70s announcers. Like I'm thinking back like to the 79 finals game, the 70, whatever one the Wizards won. I always forget those two. 78. Yeah. 78 Wizards Sonics finals, brutal announcing. They do not give a crap that it doesn't come to the moment. It's not like this is the final game of the season. This does. Like this is a great precedent. I think the ABA, their level of emotion, because they are like, hey, this is our final series. This is our final like championship series that we're running. I think this is a great crew. Because who was on the call? Because I'm blanking on it right now.
I never got their names because they don't, because
Nor did
obviously we don't get the beginning of the game, so I never actually heard. Like, I was listening for like a, hey, I'm whoever, and I looked up like who called ABA finals. It's not real clear on like what network our video was or anything. So yeah, I never actually got their names. Forgive us. I mean, I imagine they're not with us anymore, but
Unfortunately,
yeah, that's that. I thought they did a good job, whoever it was.
What about you? What'd you have for this?
Just the 1976 of it all. Like the look of it is just so like the hoop stanchion. Like it just looks so old school. The ball, the shorts, the hair.
Yeah,
it just sums up the era like perfectly. Like it just like feels like it's of a time, and I think that's really cool. I like when things kind of like, wow, like I can place that immediately. The second I see that, and I think that's a good thing. Like sometimes like I do think some of our modern stuff like, and then with all the players who like all the teams who wear like throwback jerseys now, it almost has this like flattening of history effect. Right, so it's just like, like I think about the Wolves tree line jerseys. Now that like Anthony Edwards and these teams wear them, I don't just automatically associate those with Kevin Garnett anymore. And like we do lose a little bit of that when you wear all these classic jerseys. Right. Whereas these, like the second I see this photo or like a photo of like David Thompson in that jersey, I'm like, oh, 1976. Like I can place it immediately. And I think that's kind of cool.
I totally agree. I do think that if you can kind of word this correctly, if they're emulated or remembered correctly, then it is special. I think the fact that something like the Wolves do with their jerseys, I think you can think back to those KG times and also just like, hey, picture him in this jersey today and still see if he can play in it. Like I think that's fun to do too. That's where my mind always kind of goes as well. But I love it. What else from this game do you want to talk about? Because I think the other thing I just wanted to bring up was our guy. Who was it? Brian Taylor would be the "Are we sure they're good at the sport?" guy from this stretch of the game. But we don't need to dump on him too much. But that would be the one guy I wanted to say.
Let's just say some ill-advised shots from old Brian. Yes,
ill-advised is a nice word to put it. I'd say dumbfounding. That is some of the words I'd also use. And our guy Dan Issel, honestly, like Denver was just in foul trouble most of the game, anyways, too, which hurt them. But it didn't matter. They ended up losing the finals, anyways.
So obviously Nets go on to win in 6. We watched Game 6 of the Nets for the Nets. Yeah, so if anybody wants to hear that, we did Game 6 of the series on the Nets franchise history. Yeah, a couple years ago. So that'd be one if people want to go back and listen to it. It's good because the entire game of that Game 6 is on YouTube.
Yes.
This one, unfortunately, we did miss part of it. But no, that's it for this game. I think it was a fun one. I'm glad we got an ABA game in there.
I was going to say, you brought up, like, there's not a lot of ABA games. I think we lucked out with it when we did the Anatomy of a Franchise with the 75 ABA finals and the 76 ABA finals, both being...
that was helpful.
Being available to us. Okay. Game 2. And we're back in the NBA now. And it's the Philadelphia 76ers. And honestly, how this team isn't in like 2K, crazy to me. The 77 team is, this isn't. They were in it at one point. Now, they're in the game if you play the eras mode, and you can go back and play with the 83 Sixers. But my gosh, this team is so fun.
Loaded.
This is just a loaded team. And the fact that Andrew Toney does not get enough shine in league's history, I think people forget who Andrew Toney is if you're not an NBA nerd like us.
You would, and also like he's like never been on 2K, right? Like Andrew Toney is like not on 2K. Yeah, so it's like that's another thing too. It's like, man, this like I know it's like lame, like that's not like a reason why maybe like you should be on it, but it does help with like younger generations knowing like there's kids that I know that I've coached that like, oh, they know who certain players are because like, I have them on 2K. It's like, oh, that guy's awesome. Like I love playing with him. And think about how fun Andrew Toney would be on that game. Like he would be so fun to play with. Such a shame because he's awesome. But this is 83 finals, game 4, Philadelphia 76ers at Los Angeles Lakers at the Forum in LA. The Sixers are up 3-0 in this series. They came into the 82-83 season as the nearly team of the late 70s and early 80s, like you talked about earlier. They made a few finals runs. Julius Erving was the main man on all those teams. They made the finals in 77, 80, and 82, but lost to the Blazers and then the Lakers a couple times. Erving won league MVP in 81 and had a genuinely brilliant first 6 years in Philly. But in the summer of 82, the Sixers acquired Moses Malone, the reigning MVP, to form an incredible duo and an awesome starting five. Philly rolled to a 65-17 record, best in the league, and then came into this game with an 11-1 playoff record, having swept the Knicks, beat the Bucks in 5, and then winning the first 3 games of the finals against the defending champion Lakers. This 83 season also saw Doc finish 5th in MVP voting, Moses Malone win the MVP, and continuing Doc's streak of making the All-Star team every year of his career. This team is this is one of the, 6 to 8 best teams in the history of the league. Like, this is just a loaded team.
Yeah. No, I think we'll do Moses Malone at some point during this series.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite guys to just go back and watch, and this is one of those games you're like, this is why. Efficiency, not there. But the impact on the boards that Moses has against a guy like this Lakers team, who later on in the 80s, they're a much bigger team or a much more physical team. This is not the physical Lakers of the late 80s. But Kareem still being on the other side, and Magic being the big guard that he is, who's a great rebounder, just seeing Moses outwork all of them at his size is just incredible. So I know this is a Dr. J pod, but I had to shout out Moses real quick here because I am like, man, did we want to? I almost was like, do we want to save this pod for the Moses pod later on? But
I thought about that. There's a lot of other Moses games to choose from, though. That's why I felt like, okay, I guess we can do this as the one where Doctor gets it, and then obviously he helps close out the game. So it's like if it's Doc, big time.
Absolutely, and I think that's what I'm going to cross into now. Because what is your favorite stretch? The closing the back half of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. He scores 7 straight to basically seal the title.
I think the moment that I go back to, and I'm looking over here at my notes that I have written out on my computer. It's the jumper that he has over Magic, like in the last minute, and you're like, this is it. This is like the moment he needed this. Like, lost to Lakers twice in the early 80s already. He's like, let me go get this bucket real quick over one of the future faces of the NBA. And I think it's not the same spot of that 76 one, but in my mind, I watched the 76 game, went and watched this 83 game. I'm like, he's refining what he had in 76 here in 83, just like his mid-range, his jumper. It's just all now perfected into what he becomes.
Yeah, and he's like in triple threat, right? He's like using kind of jabs and stuff like that to kind of get Magic off balance. It's like, it's not just catch and blow by people. It's like he's kind of added this kind of guile to his game, which he needed. And he also, I think, doesn't get enough credit for how like portable he is as a superstar. It's like, oh, we can get like Moses, yeah, great, like bring him in. There was no like ego thing, like, oh no, this is my team, like I don't want, it's like, no, he just wants to win. Let's bring in Moses. He can be the MVP. I'll take a little bit of a step back. It's going to get me a title. That's awesome. Like you can just plug him into any kind of situation, and he's just going to be so valuable. But yeah, that last stretch there, so he gets the steal and dunk to tie the game with 2 minutes left. And they've been down by 16. I mean, the Lakers were awesome in the first half of this game. Like, they were just in classic Showtime Lakers mode. Magic was incredible. But yeah, they go up 16, and it's like, okay, they're going to have this prideful win, and they'll go back to Philly, and Philly will just win in game 5. But no, I mean, down the stretch, the Sixers just kind of like walk them down, get tight. Doc gets the steal and dunk to tie the game, and then it's a LA free throw. Then Doc gets an and one on that little like kind of bounce pass from Cheeks. That was crazy catch and finish. Yeah, that was incredible.
I love Cheeks for those plays. Like his eyes are just everywhere. He knows where everyone is, and then it's an incredible finish.
Cheeks was great in this game. So yeah, 109, 107. He makes the free throw. 109, 107. They're in control. Kareem makes one free throw on the other end, and then Doc seals it with that jumper. 24 seconds left. The jab, pull, just drills it. 24 seconds left. 111, 108. Kareem turnover leads to that cheek steal, and then he kind of waits for Moses, drops it back to Moses, and Moses the big dunk, up 5, game over. That's going to seal it. Cheeks then gets the dunk with 1 second left, and he should have just dribbled it out. But
yeah, I know.
It's like you're going to win the title.
He's like, I want my 22.
Yes.
He's like, everyone else. He's like, I got Tony, I got Malone, I got Dr. J. Olin 20. Like, he's like, let me get mine.
Yeah, so that dunk obviously makes it 115, 108. Philly wins. It's a sweep. They go 12-1 in the playoffs. The best record at that point in the league's history. Again, they're 12-1 because at that time there was only 12 teams made the playoffs, so a couple teams got a bye. So they obviously had the best record. So they had a bye. They didn't have to play a first-round series. So, they just smoke everybody. They just had the one loss. So, yeah, like you said, the faux team, it ended up being faux, but still just an incredible playoff run from that team.
I mean, it's incredibly special. And you brought it up earlier. He is portable. He just knew the secret. He just knew he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And it's like, if it means me taking a step back from being the getting number 1 MVP votes to number 5, fine by me. He's like, I'll take a step back in that sense. And I mean, even still in this year, I mean, his numbers don't take that much of a crazy dip. I mean, it's 3 points less. But his rebounds and assists kind of stay the same. Efficiency goes down a little bit, but still, like, his numbers don't shift all that much. And it's the impact that Moses has on this team that makes the full difference. They're a little less deep. The depth isn't as much there as it was in years past, probably just for the pieces they had to give up for Moses. But because I love Daryl Dawkins, and I would have loved to see him win one with the Sixers too, which I can't believe I said that out loud. But it's one of those things that Dr. J needed Moses, and I think that leads us into this next question very well. But I want to hold here because is there anything else about this game before we move on?
No, not the game specifically. I mean, I think the finish is fun. I do like my Magic is like, I just all time, legend and one of my very favorite players to watch. There are stretches in this game too where it's like, wow. I mean, just Magic is just nothing you can do with them. 6'9", leading the break. I mean, just so many just outstanding plays. And Kareem can still really move at this point. And this is really the main reason they got Moses was to battle guys like Kareem. It's like they just couldn't. They just had nobody that could really do it and kind of hold him accountable in the other end. Dawkins could kind of bang with him, like guarding him, but just couldn't make him pay on the other end. So Moses could. I mean, it's a fun game. It's worth watching. I think Norm Nixon and Bob McAdoo are out, and I think that's like McAdoo missed a couple games in the series. Those guys certainly would have made a difference, but I just think there was no stopping this 83 Sixers team. This was just the best team in the league. They were going to prove it at some point. Maybe this goes 5 or 6 if those guys are totally healthy, but I don't know. I mean, this Sixers team was just destined to win. So that's all I had from the game itself.
I agree, and I think. Because is it next year that they get Worthy, or is it next year they get Scott? Okay, next year they get Worthy, and then that's just what kind of fully assembles this team. Like, starts the Showtime legend, next level of this team. And then we get the Celtics-Lakers matchups for the rest of the 80s. But this being like one of the – because the Sixers –
I'm sorry. I was like, wait, hang on a second. This is Worthy's rookie year. He missed the entire series.
Thank you. I
was like, there's a bigger injury.
I feel like he was also hurt.
Because what threw me off was because I was like,
the depth.
Yeah, Carolina won it in '82, and obviously they draft Worthy in that spot right after North Carolina won the national title with Worthy and Perkins and MJ. So no, this is Worthy's rookie year. He does not play in the series.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to remember too. Yeah, I was trying to remember too, just because of the amount of guys. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know who Mike McGee was or Dwight Jones was all that much, and so just seeing like these names, I was like, we have some injuries that we're missing out on, and I should have done the research and looked to see if Worthy was on the roster, but I did not.
A lot of Mark Landsberger in that game too.
Man, well, listen, it was either him or Kurt Rambis, and don't get me wrong. Yeah. No, don't get me right. I don't love my Kurt Rambis time, so like I'll take Landsberger if over Rambis in moments.
Yeah, that's fair. Rambis had some good moments, but not this was not like not a guy you're going to be like, oh, we have a bunch of guys out. Okay, it's Rambis' time to step up.
Yeah,
that's not necessarily where we were turning, but look, the Lakers were dinged up a bit, but still, a very impressive performance from the Sixers team.
Proof that even in finals, teams are still hurt, and it's not just now in the NBA; it's throughout NBA history for people who think it's just a now thing. Injuries happen. Let's talk about that. Let's go back to Dr. J though. Yeah, let's go back to Dr. J. And the question we kind of ask outside of like these two games is, I want to do this one first because we kind of hinted at it with Moses, just like being the piece that he was missing. What other top 50 player would you pair with Dr. J? And we added the caveat, thanks to your brother Austin, can't be a player that he played with in his career. That includes Barkley. That includes Malone. Because both those guys are in our top 50. Is there an ABA guy that I'm missing that would have like been in the top 50?
Not that he played with. Yeah, he actually briefly played with George Gervin, but yeah. So
deep.
Can't answer.
Okay.
In Virginia.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So no, can't. But that wouldn't have been my answer anyway. My answer. I have a guy that I was really proud of this. Once the more I thought about it, the more I even liked it too. I want to pair him with a guard that can throw him lobs. That can get steals in transition, that can guard a bunch of different types of positions, and just like orchestrate kind of for him and just get him in like his best spots. And so I'm going Jason Kidd as the guy to pair him with.
Okay, so you and I went on similar paths, different player. I went a little later, and I went with Chris Paul.
Okay, nice.
I thought I think he still needs a scoring mate, and Chris Paul is a little bit more of a scorer than Kidd is.
Sure.
And honestly, I think has the defense not as strong or as big as Kidd, clearly, but like I think Chris Paul still is incredible defensively. I also was like, okay, or do we go with the big and just give him an anchor? And I was like, okay, either we do that or do we go Hakeem? And I'm like, do we just give him a Hakeem? I'm like, yeah, that's two top 15, 20 guys. I'm like, yeah, we can't make that easy for him. So I went with Chris Paul with the idea that you're right. A guy, especially like early Dr. J, like give him a guy who can throw lobs, a guy who can help orchestrate and just create. And I think if Chris Paul or Jason Kidd is on that 77 team, we're having a different conversation. And I think he's got 2 finals.
I love that we both went along the kind of lob threat line. We picked like the 2 best lob passers ever. Just Kidd and Chris Paul. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, one of those 2 easily could have done a job with Dr. J for sure.
Because I also thought Nash, and I'm like, but you brought up the key point. It's the defense that Kidd and Paul bring to the equation here. Because I think that just would work well in tandem together. The other guy, real quick though, that I thought about, and I just think he has to be mentioned, is I also thought about Dirk. Just to spread the floor for a guy who can't shoot all that well, but give him a big to spread the floor a little bit and who can also create his own shot. I thought about that. And a little pick and pop duo would also be really cool.
Pick and roll partner. Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I mean,
awesome.
When we give these answers, like, I think we're both going to try to stay away from. It's like we could just be like, well, Michael Jordan. It's like, well, okay, I mean, it's like,
right.
Obviously, that'd be great to like add a Michael Jordan, but I think we'll try to steer, maybe more kind of like a more realistic, duo, like that, like could have actually played together. Like that's not going to make it like impossible to have a team, Yeah, I think that's more the route we're going to go with that answer.
Like, don't get me wrong. If it's Bill Russell, I might go with MJ just because Bill Russell is not a bona fide like go-to scorer by any means, but he's just the best at a lot of other things. But no, I do agree with you. What would be the jersey you would buy for this player, or do you have a jersey of this player? And I will answer the question. I don't have a jersey of his, but what jerseys do you have any Dr. J jerseys?
I used to. He's high on my wish list because I had one. When I was like in like early high school. It was the blue, like the like late 70s one, the blue with like the stars down the side, and just Sixers across the front. I had that one for a while, and I honestly, I do not. I'm so good. Like I have some back here that I've had since I was like 15, but I'm so good about keeping them. But I don't know if I sold. I don't think I sold it. Something must have happened to it. And yeah, I don't have any more. So no, he's high on my wish list. I want to try to find one that, because they use like cheap. Mitchell and Ness sucks now since Fanatics took over, so I've stayed away from Mitchell and Ness for sure. Fanatics, man, just boo, just in general, just such a bummer in this whole like, the sporting goods like space. But there's some cool like retro ones you can find online though. Like Reebok used to make like some really good like swingman like throwbacks. So yeah, I have a Dr. J kind of high on my list. I do want one because that's an all time great player that I'd love to have. I do have a Dr. J McFarlane right over there. He's like doing like the swooping like dunk. Got that one on a shelf over there, right next to Bill Walton. So
love it. 77 matchup right there.
Exactly. Yep.
Give me a Nets white jersey.
That'd be cool.
Like I said, I think
the red blue on the side, the one,
Yep.
Has like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think, like I said, I had the Mandela effect and I think I've just put the Sixers over where the Nets is on those jerseys, and I'm like, give me the rightful owner of where it like kind of starts, and I think that's where we should go with that one. So, I think that'd be super fun to get a Nets jersey of his. Where is he now, Adam?
He is. I actually did quite a bit of research on this. He's got quite a few kids and grandkids. He hangs out with them. Seems like he lives a pretty, quiet life. He was in Utah for a while, and I think he's settled in Atlanta. I think Atlanta's kind of where he has made home. He's more like an east side guy. So yeah, he has various business ventures that he manages, a golf course and a golf course and resort, I believe, in the Georgia area. Just spends much time with his kids and grandkids. He had kind of a controversial, like, there was a pro tennis player who actually made the, I think, semifinals at Wimbledon one year. And like, that was when it was like became known to the public that was actually Dr. J's. He had an affair with a sports like journalist at the time, a woman who was like a journalist at the time. And, I don't think he really was involved in the raising of the daughter until much later in her life. And it kind of came out that, he was the father when she like made this big run. And so, yeah, there's kind of, that's kind of interesting, little side plot. And he's obviously since then, had a relationship with her. So yeah, it sounds like he's a pretty interesting guy. I obviously look, he's 70s cool. I'm sure he, he had plenty of fun in the in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure he had plenty of friends. I'll say in the in the 70s and 80s because he gives off that vibe.
I thank you for his now history since leaving the league. Because the other thing too is he still shows up to games. Like he's still around in the league.
Gives interviews. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Why am I blanking? Because he was on a show that he wasn't in Marty Supreme, right?
No.
Okay, I just know there's a lot of NBA guys, but for some reason,
Kemba, they're all in it. Yeah.
I thought but there's like some other movie or show that I watched.
Well, he was in the 70s. He was in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Well, that's fair, but that's not a movie that everyone's gonna know. So I'm trying to think of what else, but maybe I think he had like a cameo in a show or something like that. Not the point though. Dr. J. Honestly, this was a phenomenal rewatch because I know we did like a few games of his like intentionally, unintentionally, just during the anatomy of a franchise, and I think that's one of the guys who I wish I would have watched more, like as my fandom has grown, and so he's definitely like I need to do more of my research on Dr. J, and this was one of the important like fun ones to do, and so I really enjoyed this deep dive into him, and so. This is why we do projects like this, Adam, to do these deep dives on players that some we've watched a lot of and some I've just like missed the mark on. So
yeah,
it's been great.
Well, we hope we inspire people to go research these guys too. Like, I know, like, not everyone has the time to go watch a game from 1976, like a full game. I get that, but go watch a YouTube clip, right? Go like if you've not done much, like if all you know of Dr. J is like, oh, cool nickname in like 70s, like, but you never actually like saw, clips of him or plays of him or something like that. Like, do yourself a favor. Like, it's well worth it. Like, just his highlight tape alone is like just so fun to watch. I mean, he just was an electric player and way ahead of his time. So, he's the ultimate cool. Like, he was everyone's favorite player, back in the day. I know there's a lot of kind of people of that generation like, he was their guy. So, again, you cannot tell the story of the league without Dr. J.
I completely agree. Do you want to tease who we have next week?
Yes.
Start this week with
another polarizing one and another high level scorer and a guy who's still playing in the NBA today. James Harden is up next.
A guy who would fit in the does not pass the Quinn Cook test.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yes, one of the like 7.5 that you mentioned.
Yes. Yeah,
no, that's going to be a really interesting one. And choosing his games was interesting because there's a lot of really good ones to choose from. There's a lot of really not so good ones to choose from. So there was, I had quite a time kind of narrowing down the games list. But no, James Harden is next. That'll be an interesting one.
We will mention the bad ones, but we probably won't. We will not be watching them. So we'll watch the good ones because we watched one of the bad ones on the Rockets Anatomy of a Franchise.
We did.
If you want to go back and listen to that or our thoughts on that one, feel free to go listen to that. But thanks everyone for listening. This has been the Anatomy of a Superstar for Dr. J.